It's a gross topic. Nobody really wants to talk about it, but most pet owners wonder about this. Why does my dog scoot his butt across the floor? This is actually a really common behavior in dogs. A lot of people think it's weird or gross, but it's actually, something that is seen in pretty much every dog. It's nothing normally to be concerned about if your pet's just doing it once in a while. If you think about it, if you're uncomfortable or you have an itch somewhere, you take care of it. You readjust your clothing, you scratch the itch, whatever you need to do to make yourself comfortable. If a dog has an itch or feels uncomfortable near his rear end, he is going to need to scratch it. Dogs are not as flexible. They don't have the range of motion that we do. So one of the ways to take care of that problem is to scoot their butt across the floor. So typically it's pretty normal. There are some things that you should be looking out for. And I have a bunch of reasons for you to consider. The first and the most common is parasites. Parasites are released from the body through the anus. So that process in itself can be itchy and uncomfortable. Sometimes you can actually see the parasites around your dog's anus. And so obviously if they're like crawling and moving, that's going to be very uncomfortable and your dog's going to be trying to get rid of them. So inspect the area, make sure that there's no parasites there, and also inspect their feces because that's how those parasites are removed. So check their feces. Even if you don't see signs of worms, there is a chance your dog still has intestinal parasites that you just can't see. So if this is something that came about really suddenly, or it's something that your dog just starts doing, maybe you saw him do it once in a while before and now he's doing it all the time, it's really definitely best to consult your veterinarian and make an appointment. They can look for intestinal parasites and treat that before it becomes a more major serious health issue. The second reason that your dog could be scooting is because he has clogged anal sacs. Dogs have two anal sacs on either side of their rear end that contains a really foul, fishy smelling liquid that gets released when they poop. You may, if your dog has clogged anal sacs, you may be able to actually see them enlarged. So again, when you're inspecting the area, that's something to look for. Normally, if a pet has regular stool, when the stool is fairly firm, it will express those anal glands as the feces is pushed out. So if your dog typically has loose stool or they're suffering through a bout of diarrhea right now, this can definitely be the issue. It's a good possibility because the loose stool isn't expressing those anal glands like it should. Again, inspect the area. If you can visibly see that the area on both sides of the anus is enlarged or one side is enlarged more than the other, that is a sign that the anal glands are clogged. You may also see a small amount of blood on the outside of your dog's stool. That can be a symptom of clogged anal glands. So again, if you believe this to be the case, check with your veterinarian. He might recommend like a warm compress, especially if it doesn't seem to be a super severe issue, but he also could recommend antibiotic ointment, or to bring your pet into the office to have those anal glands expressed. Skin irritation is another probable cause that your dog is scooting. The skin in this area could be irritated for a number of reasons. If your dog is groomed frequently, he may have like clipper burn or irritation from the grooming products or the grooming tools in that area. Fleas or allergies, especially like dry winter air. I live in Maine. The air here gets very, very bitter cold and dry, and that can do a number on sensitive skin areas like the nose, the paws, and the anus. So that's something to be watchful for as well, is skin irritation. You may notice female dogs scoot when there's an irritation of the vulva, which would be caused by a urinary tract infection or other similar issue. So if you see your dog scooting once or twice, she's probably just scratching an itch. But if you see her doing it frequently, again, you should contact your veterinarian. She may have a UTI. If you're concerned that the skin irritation is around the anus, So like I said, just inspect the area. If it looks red, if it looks dry, if it looks irritated, you want to just take a warm cloth, make sure you wipe the area down very well. And then there are different salves and balms that can be used for sensitive skin areas like that on your pet. Just make sure that you get a salve or a balm that's specifically made for dogs, because that is an area where they can access by licking. And if your dog licks it off, you just want to make sure that you're not putting on something that's going to cause him harm. You want to get something that's formulated specifically for dogs that it won't hurt him to ingest it. And finally, a dirty rear end. If you think about babies with diaper rash, dogs can't clean themselves the way that we do after going number 2. So sometimes there's a bit of a mess left behind, especially if your dog has loose stools or diarrhea. This can be an issue. So that's something that's going to be noticeable when you inspect that area. If your dog happens to have long hair in that area, sometimes the feces can get stuck in the hair, causing mats. Those can pull and be really painful, so your dog will try to scoot to remove that, or just the stuck on feces can be uncomfortable, so he scoots to try to remove that. So, just check out that area. It sounds gross, but the first thing that you should do if your dog is scooting is inspect the rear end. If it just needs to be cleaned, you can use a warm cloth or grooming wipes to remove the fecal matter. And then if you notice mats in the fur, if your dog has long hair in the area, if you feel comfortable enough, you can groom the area with scissors or clippers. But if not, you can either call your veterinarian or better yet, call a pet groomer. Just let them know the issue that's going on, and you can pop in once a month or so and have that area cleaned up, and then you won't have to worry about the issue anymore.